Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Space Headlines. We do a quick recap every week of what's going on in space. And today we'll be talking about the first week of October 2019. We open this time with a NASA thing. NASA has released the final call with the final specifics for the human-rated lunar lander system. So this is a call to industry to make formal proposals to support Artemis. And some of the interesting aspects of this are that, first of all, they are allowing bids that do not utilize the lunar gateway, at least for the first mission. And this is a pretty short fuse kind of a thing. They just recently released this, and the deadline for all the companies to put in their proposals is November 1. Now that seems like a unreasonable amount of time for the companies to put in their proposals with only 30 days to put them together. But in reality, they've been working on this for many months as NASA put out sort of preliminary calls for proposals. So this has been an iterative thing that's led up to this final request. And there's no requirement that the lunar lander be reusable, which I find disappointing. NASA does plan to select 2 firms to move forward, so they won't be completely at the mercy of one company. China was in the news. China is developing a spacecraft to take China astronauts beyond low Earth orbit, to beyond, and to the moon. This is coming along on a pretty good rate, apparently. They're expecting a test flight sometime next year, perhaps. And the spacecraft is going to be capable of taking 4 to 6 astronauts aboard. It's going to weigh about 20 tons. And although the American public doesn't seem to be paying much attention, China has been sending astronauts to space since 2003. We had something very interesting happen, and in my mind, long past due. SpaceX finally put a page about the Starship on their website. We've been hearing about the Starship for years, but there hasn't really been a formal area on the SpaceX website until now. So this is a nice step forward. You can visit this and check it out. But they have the basic specifications there for Starship and the Super Heavy and Raptor engines. There's also some brief text about different uses of the Starship, satellite launch, space station missions, missions to the moon, and interplanetary transport with the focus being Mars. NASA launched their InSight mission to Mars sometime back, and the lander successfully reached the Mars surface. And the idea here had been that this probe was going to dig deep into the Mars surface, deeper than anyone has ever done before, with the ideal goal of being to get about 15 feet below the surface with this digging process that they put together. However, so far they haven't reached 2 feet yet. They've been having a lot of trouble with this digging. That's the real news item is they're having trouble with the digging, and they're exploring various options of how they can address this and get back on track to hopefully get substantially below the surface, because that's, in my view, the biggest new aspect of the InSight lander is the ability to go significantly beneath the surface. Northrop Grumman is getting ready to launch a mission. They're calling it the Mission Extension Vehicle, and this is coming right up on October the 9th. The idea here is this is something that will dock with a satellite, most often probably a geostationary type satellite. It will dock with it, and then it will stay attached to the satellite for an extended period, and it will become the maneuvering system for the satellite. So if the satellite was out of fuel or almost out of fuel, by docking to the satellite, this thing could extend the operational lifetime for many, many years. So that what they're saying at Northrop is that this is compatible with about 80% of the geostationary satellites. So this has broad applicability to hopefully solve this problem. But even though it's broadly usable, The first two candidates are both going to be Intelsat satellites. So hopefully all that will go well. This is an idea whose time is past due. I'm happy to see this happen. Relativity Space is a young space firm. They've been using 3D printing to print rockets, and they'd like to do more of that, and better facilities and so forth. So they recently secured $140 million of investment capital, and that's going to enable them to build a big 3D printing facility to step up their game and do things faster and better. The idea of the 3D printing, among other things, is to be able to iterate faster. They're saying that you can use 3D printing to do this and cut a couple of years off the timeline of traditional rocket manufacture. So this potentially is a really, really cool thing. And the money for this, for Relativity Space, was primarily from Bond Capital and Tribe Capital. There's another startup called Voyager Space Holdings. And this company is headquartered out of Colorado. They're new, and their idea is they want to help space startups. They want to help them with money. They want to help them with infrastructure support, guidance, and so forth. And I believe they'll be helping companies all over the place. I don't think that they need to be near the Voyager Space Holdings in Colorado. I think the companies can be anywhere. They have some really solid people on their management team. Dylan Taylor, Matthew Kuta, William Shelton, Alan Stern. So they definitely have some known people that are in the leadership here at Voyager Space Holdings. We wish them all the best. And that's it for our show. So have a great week. We'll see you in a week or so. And we'll be talking about the second week of October.